Have you ever played air guitar next to a downtown intersection? Have you ever intentionally tried to experience sleep paralysis? Or have you ever wished a ghost would hide your car keys so you don't have to drive into work? Well, if so, then you, my friend, might be out of touch. Welcome in episode 4 of the Out of Touch podcast. I'm your host with the most, John Alden. I don't even really know what I would have the most of, but surely I have the most of something.
Planning
Alongside
skills.
with me, as always, Dustin Schutte and Mitchell Page.
Squad.
The man with the plan, the man with the Chick-fil-A.
Always. We're recording. I always have Chick-fil-A
Right.
when we're recording.
That's right.
Figure it's
We're here for another
audio
day of
podcast.
nonsense.
Yeah. Audio podcast, it's always good to just be eating.
That's
Oh,
right.
there's audio. I feel like that's a
Are
good
you
point.
aware of what ASMR is, Mitchell?
Of course.
Is that like, do you think that's a weird thing for people to get into? People who like listening to other people eat? I mean, I know that's not the only sector of ASMR, but I know that that's something that certain people are into.
Everybody's got their own deal.
Yeah.
It's not my
Now-
deal, but
Hold on. What is happening?
Did we just introduce you to a new concept, Dustin?
I think you did. I've not heard of this.
oh, you got to look it up. Look it up right now. I want to see a live
So
reaction.
do you even have a generalized idea of what ASMR is?
I've never heard of this. Just the
So-
letters ASMR.
Yeah, it's an acronym. I don't know what it stands for, but
But
essentially the main part of what it is, you can literally find
Wait.
anything on YouTube. Just type in ASMR. Like if you typed in somebody giving someone a haircut, ASMR, essentially what you'll find is videos that are 30 to 45 minutes long, maybe even longer than that, of somebody giving someone a haircut. And it's supposed to like relax you. It's supposed to like, people usually watch those videos when they're trying to fall asleep. And you know what?
Oh.
Since we're talking about it, I've watched them before. They're relaxing. I'm not going to sit here and bring it up and act like I know what I'm talking about and pretend I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, everybody's got their thing. It's not my thing, but I've seen some where like they rub their hand over the bristles of a brush.
Some
You
of
put
it
the
gets
mic-
into some really weird stuff. for
Yeah,
sure.
it's like a high quality microphone and you put it right next to the thing and they just for 45 minutes. I don't know.
So it's
I'm
like
glad we
that-
tickled Dustin's fancy. He's going to get into some experimental stuff
That-
tonight after the show, I can tell.
that was a good play on words, John. I like that pun. So I'm trying to figure out like, is it like a white noise so you can sleep better? Is it just like
I mean,
relaxing?
it almost replaces it in a way,
okay.
if that makes sense. And I'm not somebody, I don't rely on it to fall asleep, but I may watch 10 minutes of something before I try to fall asleep, if that makes sense.
So
I did not
Well, let's-
expect to get into this. This was not on my agenda, by the way.
well, it is now. I
It is now.
listen to like storms to fall asleep. Like, you know, you can put it on YouTube and it's got like a backdrop. Usually it's
Yeah.
pretty dark and then just rain sounds. Does that count as ASMR? Is this
I
completely
don't think
something
so, but it serves the same purpose.
Do y'all fall asleep with the TV on or off?
different? Off.
Usually off. I can fall asleep either way, but usually off.
Me too. Some people are pretty particular about that. Yeah, like I think my sister sleeps with the TV on. I feel like that's way worse quality sleep. I don't know, but
Well, I kind of like graduated. When I was younger, I would have the TV on. Then maybe by the time I got to college, I would put a sleep timer on for like an hour, fall asleep, and then just have it turn off. And now I just turn it like I said, the only thing I will is if I can't sleep, then I'll put on like the rain or the thunderstorm on YouTube, and I'll leave that on all night if I can't get to sleep. But that's probably maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks.
does it have to be pitch dark? Some people can't sleep if there's any brightness at all.
No,
Like the blackout curtains. Do you guys have those?
no.
No, but I used to try whenever I worked third shift. I used to try to make it as dark as I could because I knew I would be going to sleep as the daylight was coming up.
Let me tell you what happened last week after we recorded and talked about ghosts.
I was going to ask you about that.
I slept out in my living room with every single light in this apartment on and the TV on. It was not a good sleep. I woke up probably every 45 minutes to an hour.
Gosh.
But I was not going to go into my bedroom in the dark and have to deal with a ghost, which may or may not be in there.
No, it's
I
in
tell you
there.
what, I don't think it really freaked me. I mean, it freaked me out in the moment when we were talking about all that stuff, but I think I was able to remove myself from that discussion once I stepped away from this computer chair last week.
I want to know what my dog is doing. If you're watching this on YouTube, okay, he found a toy. He just buried his head in a pillow. Okay, we're good now.
We love
we're
Biscuit.
good. He's found his ball. I think he's content now. Probably not.
The most out of touch dog is Biscuit, right? We have Biscuit, home of master. I don't even know how to say this. Dustin Schutte, the master of Biscuit. Mitchell Page, the master of Frank.
No.
Oh, this
Frank.
isn't Frank.
No, this is Frank, but Frank is master of me.
Oh, he runs
Frank,
the show.
Yes. We do what Frank wants to do. Frank wants to go to the park, we go to the park.
There we go. Frank knows how to get what he wants. We should all take after Frank. Right. My dog's Lily. I don't think she's made many appearances on YouTube before. Maybe she will eventually, but
she's gonna be
she used to whenever she was a puppy, and whenever I was getting started doing Indiana Sports Beat, there were times whenever during the breaks and I had my microphone on, people on the YouTube side of things could hear Lily squealing in the background, and people thought I was abusing my dog. Hopefully they know now that wasn't the case, but it was a little awkward at first.
Well, she hasn't made many appearances, so
we don't even know if she's still here.
Facts. That is what I was implying.
She is out in the living room chewing on a bone right now.
So let me tell you, not to go down this dog hole, I don't know. Anyway, I was doing a podcast with one of my friends yesterday. Well,
whoa, bro.
August 16th.
Are you cheating on us?
Yeah, I'm cheating on you. This was it's a college football podcast. I did the Big Ten side of it, and my friend hit record. Biscuit had been in my face the entire day, would not leave me alone. Just one of those days, right? Like he's apparently needy for whatever reason. And I yelled at him so loud. I just yelled, "Go lay down." And he hit the record button as soon as I yelled that. And I was like, we're going to need to edit that out. Otherwise, people are going to think I abuse my dog, which is not the case. But it's like, I assume it's like kids, right? After like the 7th or 8th time you tell them to lay down and they don't do it, you're like,
yeah. All
right, let's get to business here.
Yeah, I think you just put him in a cage, just like a dog. I think that's what you do with kids.
I think yes. That's what I've been told.
I don't have a lot of experience, but that's what I've heard.
Well,
that's what my mom did to me.
Right? What do you say?
That's what my mom did to me.
Oh, and you turned out just fine.
Yeah. The only reason I say that, my mom listens to me or listens to this. So, Mom, your secret has been exposed.
Oh no!
Shout out to Mitchell's mom for locking him in a cage during.
She listens to every episode. She's the best.
Well, shout out, even more of a shout out.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, first things first. I guess we already kind of dove into some weird stuff in the first 8 minutes, but it is state fair season. If you're unaware, it may even still be county fair season, where some of you are. I know where I live in Kentucky, the state fair just started today. Dustin, has the Indiana State Fair already taken place?
It's almost over, I think.
Yeah, Indiana State Fair. This is the last week for it, I believe. And it's funny that you wanted to talk about this tonight because I just got back from I went to the State Fair last week because the Gin Blossoms were there at the free stage. So all you needed was a State Fair ticket. So for $15, I got to see the Gin Blossoms.
Well, there you go. Mitchell, what about the South Carolina State Fair?
No clue.
No, you're not a big state fair guy?
No, I haven't been to the state fair 20 years probably. Maybe more. I don't know why. I don't have anything against them. I just don't need all that fried stuff. I eat enough fried
I've
stuff.
only ever been twice, at least to the one in Kentucky. But one thing I wanted to get into with it was some of the weird food that you find at state fairs. The one thing that's supposedly brand new at the Kentucky State Fair this year is a barbecue sundae. And I think it sounds like one of the most disgusting things that they could have come up with. I know every year they always unveil something new. At least they do in Kentucky. But this is one of their big unveilings for this year, the barbecue sundae.
Did they list the ingredients? Because it could be one of two things. This could be an actual ice cream sundae with like barbecue things in it, or it could be like a bunch of different barbecue things like layered so it replicates a sundae. If it's the latter, then it's not that bad.
Here we go. The barbecue sundae served in a plastic parfait cup is made from baked beans, pulled pork, and mashed potatoes with a dollop of barbecue sauce on top. So that makes sense then. It's not like you're mixing.
I mean, that took you 1 second of research. You're supposed to be our research guy, John. That was not doing your research.
It still sounds disgusting, though. I still wouldn't eat it.
No.
Have you ever had one of those? Have you ever had one of those KFC mashed potato bowls? Oh my God.
Yeah. Yes. You mash it all together. Yeah. John, come on. Come on. What do you thought they put barbecue sauce on ice cream?
What?
Did you think they would put barbecue sauce on ice cream?
Yes, I would. They've made donut burgers where they literally put a burger patty in between two donuts that act as buns. They've also made deep fried Kool-Aid. Literally, the state fair would do anything, and it wouldn't surprise me. They could take roadkill, put a little sugar and spice on it, deep fry it, maybe give it a little bit of a smoke, like put it in a smoker, and they'd sell that and call it, I don't know, rat on a...
I'm excited. Keep going.
I was on a roll, and now I've ran into a dead end.
You're not getting off the hook. You have to come up with a name for this.
Rat on a... We've gotten rat on a...
Can we call it roadkill with like a backwards K or something like that?
Ooh, that's pretty good, actually.
I like that.
Pretty good.
That was a very specific rant. I feel like you thought about that before you said it.
I didn't. I just really... I mean, I'm on my third cup of coffee today. I'm focused in right now, and I knew that if I was going to get fired up about anything, I was going to make sure that I was lasered in, and I was going to let it be known. And we got about 95% of the way before I hit a roadblock, but that's okay. We figured it out.
Yeah, you don't approve. You didn't really do any research, but you still don't approve.
John is on his third cup of coffee, and it's 8:50 at night that we're recording.
At the time of this recording, it is, yes.
How do you not stay up until 3 a.m? Or like,
well, again, I think I mentioned before, it is half calf, which is the reason I drink half calf is because I like to drink it. I mean, I drink it like it's water, man. I know it's bad for me, at least probably drink it like it's water. And I think I'm learning that it is the reason I have stomach issues sometimes. I don't have like major issues, but when I do have them, I think they are because of the coffee. And maybe you listening out there, if you know, put in the comments section if you're on YouTube, how much coffee do you drink in a day? Because sometimes I feel like, and you know what? I don't even feel like I know it's excessive. You can probably tell by the way that I'm talking that I'm just completely out of my mind right now. And I just can't, I feel like I can't shut up, you know?
Well, so I've made a transition to where I used to drink probably 2 to 3 cups a day. I'm trying to get that down to 1 or 2. And I want to get it down to 1 cup of coffee with caffeine. And then I can drink decaf for my second or third cup.
See, and I used to try to do the decaf, and it just tastes horrible to me now.
Yeah, all you're doing
because I got the wrong decaf, but
no, I just drink like a C4. Just drink pre-workout. That's what
I like the taste of coffee though, like just straight black coffee.
So do I.
So
I don't put anything in my coffee.
That's why I go like I don't know. See, the other part of it too is like I break out if I drink too much coffee. If I get too much caffeine, not good for the skin. Not good.
No, I don't really drink coffee hardly at all unless it's I like the Dunkin' Donuts that's prepackaged at the gas station. The like caramel, whatever they are, those are delicious. And then an iced caramel macchiato from McDonald's. That's my 2 go-tos. Other than that, coffee's nasty to me. I drink like a 13-year-old girl. That's how I drink coffee.
Well, there you go. So anyway, the main reason I brought up the state fair wasn't just to talk about the barbecue Sunday. Dustin had brought something to my attention a few days ago, and I had heard of this, but I hadn't looked it up yet. But at the Iowa State Fair, they do butter sculptures. And apparently it's like one of the highest honors that you can get if you're somebody who gets a butter sculpture made out of you. Well, Caitlin Clark, as many people who are fans of college basketball, they know who Caitlin Clark is, the star from Iowa. She has her own butter sculpture. And if you're on YouTube, I'm gonna try to pull this up real quick. I've got it right here. You can see it on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, just all you gotta do is Google Caitlin Clark butter sculpture, and
It'll
you'll be able
pop
to
right
see
up.
what this is. Yes, and I really don't know how I feel about it. I think it's. I mean, the honor of it, I guess, is cool, but like, I think it looks weird.
It does not look like her at all. Which,
Well, it is
It
made of
almost looks
butter,
like a man with a ponytail.
So
it's made of butter. Like, that's pretty impressive. The fact that
Okay.
you can even make it look like a human, it's butter.
but why even do it?
Because it's Iowa, they turn it like what? I don't know.
Okay.
Similar to
So-
Indiana, like what else is going on?
Yeah, but there's not like a corn statue of Zach Edey.
That would be something you'd do in Nebraska, I
corn.
feel like, right?
Well, I mean, Northern Indiana's got more corn. Not more corn than Nebraska or Iowa, but
I just mean there's not enough corn to make one as tall as Zach Edey.
that's a good point. That is
Oh, yeah,
true.
there you go.
Have you seen him in person?
No.
I feel like he could step on me.
I met Roy Hibbert in person, which if people who don't know who that might be, he's 7'2" center, former for the Pacers, and was really good and then fizzled out because the NBA completely changed and he had only a post game.
The Great Wall of Hibbert.
He was amazing in those Pacers Heat series, but I went to shake his hand one time, and like his forearm is the size of my torso. I mean, just a giant human being. Like those dudes, like you don't know how big those dudes are. Well, we talked about it when I went to media days, and I was up again or talked to like a former Ohio State tight end and linebacker, and I'm like, just enormous. Like they crushed my hand just shaking it.
Yeah.
And people are
Roy,
huge.
I haven't thought about this in a long time, but Roy Hibbert used to do one of my favorite things that any sports athlete did. He had these monster hands, and like
That's my
some people would, like typically when your face is sweaty, you use your shirt to wipe it. He would go full open stretch palm straight down his face. It was. I bet there's someone that took a video of it because it was so preposterous. He would start it. His hands were so massive. They could like go from ear to ear, and he would just cover his entire face, wiping the sweat away with the palm of his hand. I thought that was so strange. He was a weird guy. That was a crazy Pacers team.
Yeah.
They need to they have all those untolds going on, like the Johnny Manziel stuff. We need one of the 2008 2009 Pacers?
I think it was 13.
See, I thought it was
14.
after the 2010s is what I thought.
Maybe
was
2010, because I was still in high school, so it may have been 2010, 2011.
Well, the year so he was on he started on the team in like 2008, and then the season where they were really good was 13-14, and then they brought in Andrew Bynum and Evan Turner. Roy Hibbert was dominant the season before. Then they brought in those two guys, and he just that was the year he had like the 0 point, 0 rebounds, 0 blocks, like was just terrible in that series. But he did talk about he did like an interview with the Pacers because it was the 10-year anniversary this year of when he blocked Carmelo Anthony's shot at the rim, which was one of the best blocks in NBA history.
Yep.
And he talked.
I was sitting in the 6th row for that game.
Oh, nice.
That game that place was rocking. We used to call it the bank. That place used to get
That's a
rowdy.
cool nickname, man. That was a cool nickname
is.
for Banker's Life. What do they call it now for Game Bridge? The Bridge? I hope not.
I don't know what they call it.
I'm looking it up right now. 2011, 2012, they were 42-24. And I think this was the first. They came in second in the East. They lost in the semifinals to the Heat.
Yeah, that was still LeBron's Miami.
And then they lost in the conference finals to the Heat.
And then they lost.
And then they lost in the conference finals to the Heat again.
Yep.
Man.
And then after that, they kind of just
sucked.
got destroyed. Yeah.
2014-15, Roy Hibbert just
Dustin, was that like
something
peak?
must have happened.
The point of that,
Other than Reggie Miller days, was that peak Pacers fandom for you? That kind of run?
Yes.
Dude,
yes.
Lance Stevenson lighting it up.
I'll finish my story about Roy Hibbert. He went on a
Yeah,
Pacers
sorry.
podcast and said that they need to do like something on that GQ shoot because it all went downhill after like David West, Roy Hibbert, like they did the cover of GQ and everything just went downhill after that. So
David
that was
West, he was so sick.
But that was I had not season tickets, but the Pacers they probably do still sell like mini season packages, so you could get 10 regular season games, and they let you pick any games you want. So I'd always get like Lakers, Bulls, Warriors, Thunder, and then you got playoff priority. So I gobbled up all the playoff tickets for those 2 seasons, 12 and 13 and 13 and 14. And let me tell you, I had some fun because even though they got beat in the conference finals both years, those were some fun teams to watch. Like that was, past the Reggie year, that was those 2011 to 2014 was the most fun I've had being a Pacers fan.
I didn't realize Danny Granger was still on the team for the 2013-14.
He was an old
and then
man.
they got rid of him, and that was part of the problem.
You remember Luis Scola? Luis Scola.
Yes.
So good. CJ Watson, the only thing I remember about CJ Watson is he got his hand on every ball. He was great on defense. And when he first did this, I freaked out, but then it was my favorite play that would happen. He would get a steal, be leading a 1-versus-3 break. Any other point guard brings it out, starts the offense. He would just pull up from the top of the key and shoot a 3, 1-on-3. It was a preposterous move for the backup point guard to do, but he was so good. CJ Watson, man, I haven't thought about these guys in forever.
All these guys that you're mentioning, I was a big 2K player at the time. And I wasn't like great, but I loved to play 2K. I was always playing as the Pacers. All these guys were guys I used to do. CJ Watson, Luis Scola, obviously Granger, Lance Stevenson. Lance Stevenson was the best.
DJ Augustine was on the 2012-2013 team. That's the guy that used to wear his pants down to his ankles at Texas, right?
Might have been. I don't remember for sure.
You got to look this up.
I'm sure you're right.
What are we looking up here?
DJ Augustine, Texas.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if we got a picture. Like his shorts were just so long, looking crazy.
They're pretty long, yeah. I found an image. But they're not like down to his ankles. Well,
no, but
here we go. Here's a good photo. Actually, I'm gonna pull this one up if you're on YouTube too. I promise, if you're on Spotify, we won't do this the entire show, but
we might.
For things,
watch it on YouTube.
Look how long these shorts are.
Yeah, I mean, if that was today, move your mouse up just a little bit. Up. They'd be probably that long if that was today.
Yeah, I agree.
4 inches above the knee.
These are the kind of shorts that I wear. I wear super long. Maybe not this long, but I wear pretty long shorts.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, I hate short shorts. Shorts.
That's a miss.
I feel like every time I see these shorts, like if you watch a classic game on like Big Ten Network or YouTube or something pops up and you see those longer shorts, I'm always amazed at like, how did the ball never get caught when they did between the legs? Like, how did that? I mean, I'm not going to say it never happened, but it was so rare that you would have never, like, you would have not have thought that was a problem.
Yes. Do you remember when they made the switch from like the normal kind of shorts that were pretty baggy with the baggy uniform, like jerseys, to the super tight jersey with, I think they put all the fabric from the jersey into the shorts. And the jerseys became skin tight, but the pants were like parachute pants. All the Nike teams, I can specifically remember Florida and Kentucky had just the craziest looking uniforms. Oh, look at this one right here. I don't know who this guy is.
Mitchell's going deep into the webs of
this is Texas.
Baggy uniforms.
This is Texas. So this dude, I don't know who he is. Number 3 for Texas back then. Played for Rick Barnes. His shorts are at his waist, and they're all the way down to his socks. Like you see 2 inches.
How high are the socks? How high are the socks?
Lower than the middle of his shin. You see 2 inches of shin. AJ Abrams is his name.
He's just trying to be modest. We'll just say that, right? That was
guess.
the flavor of the day back then.
I guess.
Modest basketball
like-
uniforming.
I feel like, okay, so if you look at, this is the last one we'll do. I promise. I don't know who the guy was. I don't know this guy's name, but if you look up Saint Bonaventure, just type in Saint
Bonnies?
Yeah,
Bonaventure.
we
Saint
love the Bonnies.
Saint Bonaventure shorts. Type that into Google. And
Oh
there's the
yeah,
guy that
dude.
popped
Yeah. With the headband, just preposterous. Marquise Green.
I love this. All right, yeah, last
Marquise
one for
Green.
YouTube. We should do a poll for this episode on who had the ugliest uniform or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Baggy
that is
shorts.
just ridiculous.
That's fantastic. You could hide in that.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
The color with the color scheme, it almost reminds you of like a nun's dress or something like that.
What's
Well,
crazy is he scored like 21 points a game, 8 assists, almost 3 steals, and 4 rebounds wearing that.
Wow. My goodness.
He's
How do you not
almost,
trip on yourself?
he's arguably the greatest point guard in St. Bonaventure history, according to this website.
According to the website.
See, now if
I
they
mean,
do
this is
a butter
St. Bonaventure
sculpture on
also.
him,
You'll also recall the long, baggy, parentheses, almost preposterously so, shorts that Green wore all 4 years.
yeah. Why would you go away from it? What years did he play there?
He was a junior in 2002, 2003, so he must have been there
Okay.
2003, 2000 to 2004.
Early
So
2000s.
apparently what he said was he had blood on his normal pair of shorts as a freshman, so he had to get the alternates. The ones he was wearing were big, but not that big. But then he played well, so he just
He kept going.
yeah.
Okay. So like
Almost
a
like a good
superstitious
luck charm.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
says the
superstition.
reason I kept wearing them is I get cold fast. If the air's on too high, I'm gonna freeze, and I'm just not having a good time. That is crazy.
That's
Well, there you go. There's your
That is so
uniform
funny.
education of the day. All right. Golf cart supercross. Who's heard of this? I guess Dustin, you probably heard of it because I did send you a
You sent it to me, so that's the only way I've heard of it.
yeah. Mitchell, you ever heard of golf cart supercross?
I'm about to. I have a feeling it's like motocross, but in golf
In
carts.
golf carts. And it's literally
Exactly.
no holds barred. You may have one person in your golf cart. You can have 12 people on your golf cart. And these people just go around. I don't know if there's an actual league for this. I tried to find if that was like a thing. It didn't appear to be so unless
you
it's
imagine?
underground. But I'd tell you what, it looks like one of the most fun things. And it reminded me of a story I'm going to tell. So my family has a place in Patoka Lake, Indiana, just southern Indiana, for those who aren't familiar. And this is probably maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but everybody has golf carts down there. And there was a point where there were certain people were like souping up their golf carts to try to make them go faster and stuff like that.
Sure.
And we would race. I mean, again, this is probably like 7 or 8 different people. We would race our golf carts. We would go through the campground, then go out onto the main road, the main 2-lane road, which is not like a busy highway that you might think of, but if you're out in the country, think about like a main road, that kind of thing. You would ride it to the back and go up this extremely steep hill and then go back down through the camp. And that's like your lap. It's almost like not really motocross, but like golf cart meets Mario Kart ridiculousness kind of thing. And it was super fun. But that's what that video reminded me of. And people, does that sound stupid? There were a lot of people who thought that was kind of ignorant and ridiculous, especially if people had been drinking. I don't know if people had been, but you never know what people do with the lake. So
No,
Yeah, people-
that happens everywhere. Why do you even have a golf cart if you're not going to race it against the neighbor?
I'm glad that you think that way.
And this comes to another point that I really think we need to do. Now, this would take an hour and a half, but it would be so fun if at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, there are 3 or 4 holes inside the track. I think they need to allow you to drive around the oval in your golf cart. Like you're forced, like that's just part of the experience. You start at the yard of bricks, you finish at the yard of bricks. It will take you an hour to drive around that track in the 2.5 miles at whatever max speed in a golf cart is. But it would be so fun to drive around Indianapolis.
You probably have to soup it up though, because I don't know if it can hold enough speed on the bank.
It probably wouldn't have enough battery to go around the entire track.
It just winds down.
I'm telling you, I think you would get to the bank and you wouldn't be going fast enough and you would just tip.
See, that adds to the excitement. I think that would be so fun. Maybe
what about
you just
golf
have to
cart
go,
demolition derby?
Well, wait, could you do, if you did the inside of it, the, what do they call, not the warning track, what do they call there is actually a flat part of that when you're not banking.
I know what you're like right outside the pit. Is that kind of what you're referring to?
Well, it's right outside the pit, but there's like a line on every racetrack. There's a solid white or yellow line that runs around the track, and if you get into there, then you're pretty safe. And those are typically pretty flat, so maybe you could just race on that.
I don't know what those are called, but I know what you're talking about.
I'm telling you, I'm watching a jet-powered golf cart right now at the motocross event. He put an airplane jet. It's got jet fuel.
How many people are on the golf cart?
I don't know. I can't see. It is. It looks like only one, but it's like way longer than an. Oh my gosh! I think it caught on fire. No, it didn't. It's way longer than a normal one, and it's like aerodynamic, and it's just got massive flames that come out of the back.
That's souped up. That's someone who's trying to win a supercross golf cart. Like, so the example that I saw when I initially sent it to Dustin, pretty much all of the golf carts, they seemed like they were regular golf carts.
Yeah.
But it was a real motocross track. But you just had a bunch of different people. Some of them were solo riders. Others had their entire family with them and stuff like that or something. So I don't know. I think I'd like to see and/or participate in something like that, but I think they're just underground leagues, if that's even a thing. Do you want to build? Should we build a motocross track somewhere in between all three of us so we can start our own underground
in between
league?
All three of us would not exist.
I don't even know where you would put it at, like West Virginia.
Maybe.
Did you guys ever have dirt bikes or anything?
No,
I had a go-kart and I guess I had a
cool.
four-wheeler too. Go-kart and a four-wheeler.
Did you ever play like Mario Kart in it? Like you get yourself a banana peel and just toss it behind you?
No, that would have been good. But we had so growing up, until I was in 8th grade, I think, going into my freshman year, we lived out in the country. And I don't remember how. I know we bought the four-wheeler. I don't remember how we got the golf cart or the go-kart. But it was actually shaped like an Indy car. Had the pedals in it and everything. And so my brother and I would then race around the house because we had so much space that I don't know how long it would have been, maybe quarter mile, maybe a little bit longer than that if you did everything around the house, around the barn. But we made a little track and we would drive around it. It was a blast.
I love those off-road. We had dirt bikes when I was younger. I rode it every chance I could, trying to jump off stuff that you shouldn't jump off of. I think there was a dirt track somewhere in Indiana. I can't remember what the heck it was called. We went out there and I got scared. I didn't go. But we went all the way out there and I was like, I'm good. I don't need any of this.
Pre-Slim Shady Mitchell Page?
Yes, this is okay. Slim Shady would have done it. But
Slim Shady, so was that era of Mitchell Page, was that like you coming into your own? You feel like you gained a lot of confidence during that part of your style?
I was feeling good. I was feeling good about myself, yeah.
I feel like everybody needs to go through a Slim Shady phase. I don't think I have, and I don't even know how you would, like, you can't just force yourself to go through a Slim Shady phase. It just has to happen, I feel like.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I don't think I really had a chance. Slim Shady was the only direction. I had really been nothing. I was decent in high school, but not that good. And I'm working for 3 years, and then all of a sudden, bang, I'm feeling real good, scoring touchdowns in a place I'm not supposed to be. I think I'm pretty good. Turns out I wasn't very good, but I'm thinking I'm pretty good. You have no choice. People telling you you're good. You start listening. People like you on Twitter. Yeah. I was lucky. No one was ever really that mean to me except after the Michigan game that we talk about.
Oh yeah. It doesn't even matter what like career profession you're in. I feel like 75% of the battle of anything is just telling yourself that
You can do
you're
it.
good at something.
Yes.
Like I might completely suck at talking into a microphone, but you know what? If I sit here and do it and I think I sound good, I feel like, I mean, I don't know.
You're going to have blonde hair next episode.
Oh my gosh. So actually, I did have blonde hair when I was until I was like 3 years old.
Oh,
It was one of those. Like
Like
it wasn't
naturally.
like I didn't dye it. I didn't have my own. I guess I had a natural Slim Shady phase whenever I was a toddler, but that doesn't really count.
Nah.
no, it doesn't.
Dustin,
Although
I
I
felt
was-
like you were trying to keep back laughs whenever I initially
I was
brought
bald,
us into this.
and then now I'm bald again. So it's really come full circle for me. No, I was just like, I was going to say, I feel like it's so hard. I don't know how it is for you guys, but it's so hard for me to maintain confidence in myself in anything. That's one of like the biggest things I have a problem with at all.
Just like
Really?
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, but I'm trying to, I guess, break it down.
I just can't. That's hard for me to believe.
I
I think you're like,
The-
and I don't know you that well outside of work, but you're sick at this, I think. Like that really surprises me.
So it's very weird, and I don't really know how to describe it, but there was an episode of do you guys listen to Smartless? Smartless, it's Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes.
I've heard
I
of it, but I've
haven't heard
never
of it.
listened to it.
Okay, so it was really, they had Bradley Cooper on there, and what was interesting was he was talking about, not to go down this deep rabbit hole here, but
Oh, it's okay.
he
okay.
was talking about basically how there was a point in his life when he was kind of at the peak of what he was wanting to do in Hollywood, but he had no self-confidence. It's all just kind of a show. And so that for me is how I feel a lot of times. Like we can get off this and I'll critique myself to no end.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
It's like when you have I don't think people grasp that concept of someone not having confidence in themselves, but it's a very hard thing to battle every single day.
You see it all, like the imposter syndrome is kind of what you're referring to. Obviously, all I think about is golf. So Max Homa was talking about that a whole bunch earlier this year. A guy, and I don't know how well you guys know who Max Homa is, but he had a phenomenal start to the year, great end of the year last year, was great in the President's Cup, kind of exploded. And everybody had already loved him as a Twitter person, but he was trying to prove himself as a golfer and show that he was one of the best players in the world. And he started having some success and vaulted up to number 10 in the world. I think he even got higher than that. And he said it was just, he could barely even swing the club because he's like, I don't belong here. I don't belong in the same conversation as Roy McIlroy.
Yeah.
His play showed that he did, but in his own mind, he hadn't made the leap to where he was just a guy that was trying to battle and prove himself to a guy that's kind of arrived and should expect to be in those moments. And that's a hard transition. There's probably countless, just we talk about athletes all the time, but definitely people in just everyday jobs like us as well that get to a point where they're good enough and they're kind of on a rocket ship and then they just self-destruct because they don't believe that they belong where they are and they go back to kind of where they're comfortable. That's just human psychology in a nutshell.
That's honestly something that I don't want to say I'm afraid, because in my head, I don't think I would genuinely self-implode. At least I hope I wouldn't. But one of my fears is that I'll do, I guess, just that. Like I'll see that I'm on the path of where I want to go, and whether it be with career or something like that. And then I realize that that's happening, and I don't mentally prepare myself for what that next step may be. And I'm not just talking about It didn't have to be in the broadcasting realm or whatever. I think everybody has goals, and people a lot of times think they give themselves goals that they may think are unachievable. I think, Mitchell, you kind of just said that with the golf thing. And
well, it happened to me personally. I can tell you the day that I got on the Chargers into the Chargers facility, I look around, I'm like, no way I'm as good as these guys. I probably wasn't actually, but I sabotaged myself before, and this is something that took me years to realize, but I walked in just happy to be there as opposed to, and I was studying tape and doing everything that I needed to do, but there was just an aspect of belief that I just didn't have. And so I know that it happens, and it's hard to get over. I don't think I could do go through that same thing, same career in college, get to that same point 100 times, and maybe only once I can kind of trick myself into believing, but it's hard. If you're not going to really believe that you can do it, it is a monster hurdle.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think a lot, and I guess I don't know how much time we want to spend on this. Another thing, I don't mind if we get into topics like this, but this doesn't have to be just talk about things that make no sense type of podcast. This is really in anything. Like I know last week we got into ghost stories and stuff like that, and we may revisit that someday, especially when Halloween rolls around. But one thing about the success ladder that I always think about is people say, you're still in your 20s, and so you have all this time, whatever, don't worry about it. And these people who say this, and I know both of you're in your 30s. Mitchell, you're right at 30, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Well,
Yeah.
why I'm saying
unnecessary, but
You guys are out of time. You guys are out of time.
No. And what I'm getting is people say those kinds of things, but then I think those same people will talk about themselves and act like they're out of time. What is it? Why is there this stigma, I guess if you want to call it that if you haven't figured it out by the time you get in your 30s, that you're just out of luck? That's what I'm getting. I'm not saying you're out of luck, but why is that kind of the theory? Like you've got to have your life sort of figured out before you're 30.
Well, if that's the case,
I guess another thing, have you both experienced that? And that's why I brought up the fact that you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, being the oldest here, what I can say, this dog decides to lap water at all the inopportune times. I'm trying to have a serious conversation. I can tell you for a fact that I've never had anybody like say to me like, hey, just give this up. You're 35. It's not going to happen for you. You've gone too far. That's never happened to me. What I can say is that I put that time barrier on myself, and it feels like you're running out of time, because when you graduate college, and I've been a professional now for 14 or 15 years, and you put all your hard work in and you don't see the benefits of it, you feel like you're running out of time. So one of the quotes, I think this is a Jim Parsons quote, the guy from Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, because this is where a lot of my lack of confidence comes from, but he has a quote that is, hold on, now I blanked on the quote. Don't view others' success as your failure.
Yeah.
So just because somebody at 25 is making $250,000 and I'm making not even close to that doesn't mean I'm a failure. It means that person's been successful. I should not compare myself to that person. But that's one of the things that I try to live by every day. It doesn't work very often, but I think that when you get to a point where I don't even know if it's an age. It's just a point where you try to knock down the door and that door's not even cracking open for you. That's when you're like, what am I even doing here?
Yeah, I know that there was a big aspect for me of kind of keeping up with the Joneses. Like my high school friends are all a lot smarter than me, and it's weird. I don't compare myself to really the guys that I played with in college. I'm going to see Nate Sudfeld play next Friday. He's top of mind right now. I'm going to watch him play. They're playing in Charlotte, and he's made $13 million. Like incredible career. But I don't really compare myself to him. For whatever reason, it was my high school friends And I definitely felt like I was running out of time because I went and did the NFL thing. I signed an awesome contract. None of those contracts are guaranteed. So I made a little bit of money, but I was only there for an hour, so not a bunch. And then I went to Germany and broke even by literally like $5.
Wow.
In 9 months, we took this big, awesome trip that I wouldn't trade for the world, but it ended up I broke even by $5. Then I come home, I'm working, making nothing in orthopedics, working all the time in the OR all the time, making nothing. Then I go to Austria. Awesome experience for me and my wife. We grew more than we would have anywhere else. But then I get back, and now I've saved not as much as I'd like and don't have the title that I'd like. And I look at some of my high school friends, and they're already got the titles. Have been making six figures for a while. I'm 28, 29, and I'm still trying to get there. And there's a lot of catch up that has to be done. And I feel like it has to be done now or I'll never catch up. But what's kind of been weird is over the last, probably since the beginning of this year, maybe even a little later, right before I got married, I think what you'll find, and Dustin, maybe you agree or disagree, is I've gotten to a point where I don't care. I make enough money that I can feed the dog and make sure that Laura and I are happy. And if there's a kid, we can pay for that. But like, it's at 25, I was so worried about how much my friends were making. And now at 30, all I care about is, can I afford to feed the dog? Is Laura happy? And can I play golf? That's it. That's all I care about. And I just I don't pay attention to what anybody else is doing. So hopefully that's kind of the trajectory that you'll find, because it's something that I used to think about nonstop.
Yeah. So I agree with you so when I said making money, that was just like an easy comparison for me, because I agree with you that at some point it just clicks. It's like, as long as I can pay my bills and have a happy life, then I don't care what that number is. Like, you always want to get more, and you're not going to turn down a raise, but you don't concern yourself as much with how much you're making, as long as you can afford to live. So I agree with you on that front. For me, it's more of like the personal accomplishments. Like, this is what I want to do. The title, I don't even know. Yeah.
In this world, it's a little different though with titles, like getting to be on the big podcast or getting to cover the big stories, kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. That's the stuff that I'm trying to like for my entire life has been to try to get on radio. And so this is why I say, even though I've done Jim's show, we're doing this podcast, I've done a lot of other things, done segments, I still don't have a radio show. So in my head at 35, that's a failure to me. Like that, there's no negotiable for me. I can't reason with myself. To me, the fact that it's taken this long and I'm not is like legitimately a failure. So that's why I say I still concern myself with that part of it. I don't care if I make 35,000 or whatever the number was, but somebody offered me a radio show, I would consider that a success. Yeah. It sounds bizarre, but that's how my mind works.
Yeah.
Isn't it weird? It feels like it's hard to find that marriage between you have, like you mentioned, personal goals and not worried about finances and stuff like that. Because I knew getting into this type of business, I was like, they tell you, even in high school, they're like, you're not going to make a lot of money doing this. You're going to have to put in the work, going to put in the hours. And this is not a podcast about us, being pissed that we're all broke. At least I don't think that's what we're doing right now.
It is now.
But like, I don't want to say it. I'm at a loss for words. It doesn't it goes back to the original point that I made. It doesn't matter what business that you're in. Everybody gives themselves goals that may or may not in their own head be achievable. And that's the illness with all of us as human beings, is that we tell ourselves that we'll be failures. And who is it really that decides if we're a failure? I don't think anybody really cares about what the next person they're caring about themselves, right?
It's only you. It's only you.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's some famous quote about that is like, something along the lines of, well, you were worried about what everyone else was thinking about. They were only thinking about themselves.
Yeah. It's 100%
something like that.
true.
Yeah. Like,
And honestly,
you love people, but it's human nature. You want to make sure that you are taken care of first. And that's
not
true.
to get meta, but that's one of the biggest, I don't even want to say it wasn't a huge obstacle, but one of the toughest things about getting on the air, especially for a live show, when you're not used to doing it every day, is getting over that mental hump of what are people going to think about what I'm saying. And you have to legitimately train yourself to just not, you can't think about it. And
Right.
really, if it's something that, if that's the kind of thing you want to do, you eventually, you don't think about it just because you have to, or else you won't make it. That's just the way that it works. And so, yeah, that's just, you know, my personal aspect of that. So again, I didn't expect us to go down the confidence. So like, it's almost like this started with the whole Slim Shady comment. Now we've gone down this.
That's why this is so
rabbit hole.
We could probably talk about this off air, but that's why I like the podcast format that we have right now. Because I think when we first started talking about changing it up, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk some football, whatever. We're going to do that. But this is more life stuff to me. Like, three dudes that are just trying to figure it out. And we've talked a lot.
That's
like, we're happy that people listen, and that's awesome. But really, this is just three dudes that are about the same age. But like, Dustin is a little bit ahead of me, and I'm a little bit ahead of you, John. And we're all just kind of experiencing it. And it helps to just talk about stuff. Sometimes it'll be a little more serious, sometimes it won't, but that's why I like this format so much better. And we're gonna have have all kinds of psychology sessions on when the football season starts. I'm gonna need you guys to help me out.
Hopefully you who are listening, I hope you enjoy us talking about this kind of stuff, because I'm in total agreement with them. I love listening to people, especially in this medium, the audio medium, or YouTube, whichever you're watching us or listening to us on. I love when people aren't afraid to share stories about struggles that they're having or ways that they got over the hump. And again, we're going to be a mixture of all that stuff. Part of being out of touch is the fact that we are out of touch with ourselves. We don't always make the best decisions.
Wow.
So that's why that's out of touch as anything, right?
That was good, John.
That was good. You should have ended it right there.
We've gone from I haven't done enough research to, oh my gosh, that was good. That was so good.
We all have our wins. Just that beginning part was an L for you, and that's okay. I'm gonna have plenty of L's.
I don't even feel. I know you're messing with me, but like, I mean, who cares? It's barbecue Sundays.
You just didn't know research at all. You thought it was
I literally looked at a photo. I looked at a photo that I saw on the Courier Journal, which is who posted all the different Kentucky State Fair foods, and I saw what looked like ice cream, you know, like in the little parfait cup, and it was barbecue sauce. And I thought that photo was enough evidence for me. Oh my God, they're mixing barbecue sauce with ice cream, and that is gross.
This is why I put the qualifiers out there that it was either going to be one, like some ice cream with a barbecue element, or two, it was going to be like elements of a barbecue in the form of a sundae, because I've seen the second one before.
This is why you're older than me. This is why you're here to give me the words of wisdom, because I'm ignorant and don't know what I'm talking about.
No, it's not because I'm older. It's because I probably watch a lot more Food Network than anybody else listening. It's probably the real reason. But I do kind of agree with you, John, on the sense of, I don't think they would have put barbecue sauce on there, but I would have been interested to see what element of like I wouldn't have been. It was not crazy to see like pulled pork and ice cream or something, because they do like those maple bacon donuts, so they do salty and sweet. So I wouldn't have been too shocked, but the second one makes it way less gross.
Well, there you go. Any last words, Mitchell? We're not. No one's dying. At least I hope not.
I didn't think anyone was dying until you said.
Now somebody is going to die.
Last words. Anyway, we're coming up to the nitty gritty of the summer.
That's right. And next week we're finally going to dive into your game day routine. It'll be time. We'll be getting into football, and I've been excited to hear the game day routine for a while. I've just been holding off on it to make it more. time
And
of the year
I'm
specific.
gonna preface. It was a lot. It was very regimented in college. It maintained how regimented it was through the good years. Now we've gotten a little lazy. So maybe it's all my fault. 2-10 back to back, or how have we even won? Did we go 2-10 back to back?
Indiana was 4-8 last year.
No, they were not.
Yeah, they were. Remember they beat Michigan State?
Oh my gosh, we had negative passing yards or something.
Remember, because I did that embarrassing like monologue about why I thought Indiana was going to win that game, and it ended up actually happening.
Yeah. We made you replay it as the intro because it was so.
I tell you what, it was great. I'm glad that we did that.
Nostradamus.
Nostradamus. Also, next week, on top of the game day routine, this is something I was going to do today, but we're kind of out of time. DARPA dogs. I don't know if either of you have heard of DARPA dogs, but if you're curious, look them up. We're going to talk about what these things are and what they may be able to do in the future, because these things look terrifying.
Are these the robots?
They may be coming after. They may be coming after you someday. So hide your kids, hide your wife, all that.
These are the robots that can jump like 10 feet in the air.
I think
they probably are going to give them fingers with a
guns and stuff.
Yeah, dude, I'm good on that.
Yeah, so that's what you have to look forward to next week.
I'm going to start
into some more things.
I've got one last word. Last word. This is for the listeners. Next week, I believe, at least in Indiana, starts.
Now remember, this gets released in a week after we record. So
okay, so it's this week. I think this Friday is the start of high school football, right?
Yes.
Go out, support your high school team. I don't care where you live. Those kids are working hard in the summer, in the heat.
Yep.
And there's nothing like Friday nights, especially on opening night, man. Go support them. Support those kids. It's the next great class. You never know who you could be watching. You never know. So that's what I'm going to leave with.
Mitchell Page, words of wisdom. Go see your high school team. Actually, I don't think I've shared this before. Last year, my high school won the 6A state championship, and they've never won state championship before. So shout out Bullitt East High School.
Heck yes. Garen got beat a lot.
Dustin, has your high school ever won?
Probably they won a state championship in basketball and softball. I think that's it. They've been in the state championship game once or twice.
Okay.
For myself, Dustin Schutte, and Mitchell Page, this has been Out of Touch. I hope you're out of touch as well. We'll talk to you next week.